Yeah, because you got 18, you got Satu at one point. They scored 30 of, I think they scored 30 of Phoenix's 41 at one point. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a great way to start the
Just
game.
to just to like solid and like okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I had an extra question for Skylar in the post game because a lot of people were overreacting last year
For
about the
sure.
Storms. And she was like, it's game one. It's not gonna be sexy or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, you think about it, Kylie Copper didn't play at all. So,
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, 81-59, the Mercury was victorious, but man, that's quite a way to start the season.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. I'll probably include that part, but welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports. This is something new we're doing here. It's our Storm post-game report. It's like a shorter version of the Storm roundtable. Obviously, we're missing Rowan, and I was thinking about this as Christian and I were getting ready. Rowan is out right now at Lumen Field enjoying Kendrick Lamar and SZA. So not literally, but fuck you, Rowan. Like, god damn. Um, uh, anyway, I'm not going to focus on that. So yeah, ideally, we'll have the gang together. Obviously, if you follow us, you'll know we added another storm writer as well. So we'll get Jess involved in here as well. But yeah, Christian, I mean, as you and I have talked about both in our Slack channel and on here before we started, this is bad. Our storm lose pretty badly. Uh, yeah, it's bad. To begin the 2025 WNBA season, by a final score of 81-59. Seattle has their runs here and there, but really just the wrecking ball duo of Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabali, um, just destroy Seattle in this one. I mean, just a tough one. I'll start off with kind of general thoughts here. It's like I think like you were just saying, it is game one. It's game one of 44. So we got a long way to go. We got a lot of stuff to figure out. And I think you mentioned it in the post game I think to Snowy. It was in one of your questions, right? About, you had a game and essentially a game and a half of preseason. And that's just, it's not enough time to get things figured out and get them clicking. But man, I mean, Phoenix is pretty brand new. They look like they were right. So I don't know. This is a tough one. Skylar Diggins. I think I talked about this in our like roster show that we did our Storm Roundtable, and when the Fox folks had me on that on the Sidelines podcast, I expected Skylar Diggins to come out and continue to play good basketball, considering her second half of the season last year. I mean, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, pretty solid. I mean, that leads your way. Neka Gumake, like this is tough because you get the first few fouls on her, and you don't really see as much as her as you'd like. Um, I think my biggest takeaways from the starting five is just seeing how much Gabby and Ezzy struggled. But I don't know. I think my general thoughts, and I want to keep them general thoughts because I do have a few different topics here. Is it's ugly. And they'll figure it out. I'm not super worried, but at the end of the day, I think my big takeaway is it's an ugly one to start the year, and kind of like Skylar said, she literally said they got their ass kicked, and I'm assuming with this group they are going to use that as fuel because they can get fired up. Well, I don't know. What are your general thoughts kind of on this one before we go into a few different things?
Well, off rip, when you allow Satu Sabali and Alyssa Thomas to combine for 47 of their overall 81 points, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. Um, you're really forcing other players to beat you. And I mean, at some point, I mean, they kind of were. I mean, you got Alexa held out there and had 11 points. She shot 4 for 9. Catherine Westbell, I mean, she really got them started. She had that one crucial steal on the other end, got them 2 points, and then got a random three-pointer out. It was a nice little, can't remember if it was a step back and she was just leaning backwards. But yeah, that was a really nice shot. And, I think NECA picked up that third foul, like around a 4 minute mark of the second quarter, I think. At that point, I mean, they didn't really play mostly, with her. Like that's what kind of what coach alluded to on the post game presser. But yeah, overall, I mean, I didn't expect it to be this ugly. I mean, considering you have Skylar and Neco are the only two players to make more than two field goals. I mean, that's not a pretty stat, to say the least. I mean, they shot 3 for 17 from three, 17%. I mean, we know the 3-point shot is just not going to be there this season. It's pretty much like it was last year. But I will say, out of those three attempts, those three makes from beyond the arc, Zaya Cook had two of them. You know, she had 6 points. I think she played 13
13.
minutes. Yeah,
Yep.
played some really good defense. That's kind of what she's there for. I was kind of surprised that Lexi Brown was the first guard off the bench. Um, yeah, I was thinking that Zaya was going to get some of those minutes first to spell AC, but it's the first game. Again, like Coach said, in the post game presser, these rotations and the lineups are going to be game by game, especially considering, you've got three players, really tall. You got Lee who's 6'7", you got Dom who's 6'6", you got Ezzy who's 6'4", 6'4.5". So you can really mix and match depending on the matchup. Going against Dallas, I'm not sure she really has to game plan too much, considering the way Tierra McCown started the season. And that's not even really like jokingly, like I'm serious. Like I said 2 years ago that Dallas should probably trade her, and I
Mm.
caught a lot of flack for that. And now it's like, well, it's still a little bit too late now.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, we're gonna see what that looks like going up against Dallas. But yeah, it wasn't a pretty game to say the least. I mean, you had at one point you had Gabby Williams and Ezzy. I think they combined at the end of the game 2 for 18. Like Coach said, she needs more for the both of them. I mean, there were some points where I'm like, Ezzy is one of the best defenders in the league, but the defense was, getting along. They needed some offense. And I would have liked to see, what, maybe some more Dom minutes, some more lead minutes. I wasn't really a fan of the Lexi Brown, Erica Wheeler sharing the backcourt at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah, that's going to be one pairing that does not work. I mean, it's just one game, but considering what they both bring to the court, I don't think that that's going to be a pairing that kind of gets them where they need to be. Um, and that kind of sucks because at some point, Skylar has to leave the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
The non-Skylar minutes tonight, atrocious. I have to go back and get in a rewatch for tomorrow.
Hmm.
But yeah, the non-Skylar minutes for like non-Asian minutes today. If you watch the AC game today,
Jesus.
you know how bad that shit was.
Yeah. God. Yeah. That's, and just looking at this, yeah, well, I think what you want to talk about it being ugly and being uglier than you thought. I think uglier than I thought is kind of my, feeling towards this game. But when in your like nice little final tweet when games end, like reading the last line of only Diggins and Agumake made three or more field goals is like that's just bad. It's flat out bad. And yeah, like you said with the Skylar minutes, excuse me. It's gonna be interesting to see how because it's gonna be Eric handling the ball. I know Gabby's handled the ball at times. Um, when Skylar's off the court, someone who hit two, she didn't do that much. Like it was kind of funny hearing the screams of Dick Fain on the broadcast. Um, Sammy Wickham only hit two shots in this game, but they were both 3-pointers, and they felt like they came at just the right time to really be gut punches for Seattle, right? I was gonna say someone who handled the ball when Skylar was off the court to Sammy Wickham, and she was across the way this time. Um, I was gonna kind of open this up to some other player thoughts. I'm gonna go into super negative because unfortunately, this is how this game went. Alicia Clark, 20 minutes, love AC, right? You took one shot, 3 rebounds, one steal, like it's a weird game from her because I mean And I think Rowan brought this up a lot. Rowan, our other contributor to the Storm Roundtable, traditionally Rowan Shaberg, they're paying Alicia Clark like considerable money, and they expect her to produce offensively. One 3-pointer attempt is not going to cut it. No assists either, so it's not helping move the basketball. Right. I'm sure there's more. Like you said, you got to look at rewatch the game in totality. But that's an ugly game in a way, not a great game. Yeah, seeing Gabby struggle, that was my one of my kind of questions going into the year, right? Is what kind of player offensively are we going to get from Gabby Williams? Again, it is game one. It is exciting that she's here so early, considering she hasn't been there. But that was one of my questions. I was like, hey, like we've seen Gabby Williams produce really well offensively, but not at a consistent clip, right? So, I'm wondering about that. And Ezzy, I mean, at least with Ezzy, I can look and I can say, okay, 8 boards, the 2 blocks. One of them was just absolutely mind-boggling. You clipped it. It was just, I think I said under us. I love watching Izzy Magbagor play basketball. Like that one, I can stomach compared to the AC and the Gabby minutes, just because like you look at, and yeah, Gabby had 2 blocks. That's fair. I think maybe I forget a little bit because I think AT stuffed her really badly on one possession, and it made me think it was a Gabby block. I was like, oh, that's brutal. Oh, that's terrible. But yeah, I'll stop with the negative. Lee Rue minutes. Lee Rue I like as soon when we this trade happened and we were looking at it, Christian kind of I think shared some clips of her game. And that was when I really started to be on the Lee Rue like agenda. We're gonna workshop it. We gotta workshop the name. But I don't know, man. Like I really enjoyed it. 4 rebounds, 4 assists off the bench. Um, you know, it was funny hearing Dick Fane talk about it being like one of the better free throw shooters. I'm like, I don't normally think of a center being one of your better free throw shooters. I mean, and she played essentially starter minutes. Like she tied Ezzy in terms of minutes at 22. Um, so I really like that. All that to say, stop my yapping. Player wise, what did you see in terms of good? Because outside of like the main like Skylar 21, it's not all that great.
I think one thing um, that I don't think anyone even mentioned tonight,
Mm,
myself included, just how much this team truly misses Jordan Horston, man. I
yeah,
mean, her role as kind of that point forward role, even though she's never really been a true forward, she's been a guard her entire life in high school and
big
college. I
guard.
mean, she played forward a little bit in college just because they really needed her to. Like the USA teams that she's been on, she played a little bit of center, even though she played on teams like Cameron Brink and players like that.
Mm,
But yeah, you just really miss what she brings on the defensive side of the floor. I mean, she guards the opposing. Let's just say I doubt Satu goes off the way she does without any answers on defense if Jordan Horson is in this game. I mean, that's really just that simple. And I've been wondering going into the season. Again, it's just one game, but how much pressure are you really putting on Gabby Williams to produce without that kind of safety net behind her? Well, they played so well with each other, especially kind of in tandem. Once on the floor here, okay, then you pull her and you kind of insert Jordan or Gabby, whichever was really needed. So that's one thing I think that is keep an eye out for. Um, One good thing though, Skylar Diggins, that pick and roll with Lee,
mm.
money. It's two or a trip to the line. That's something that I really wish we would have saw more of. Um, of course, like this is kind of the same thing. Um, what coach said in the presser, as far as Alicia Clark not taking more shots, kind of just like the flow of the game. That's probably why we didn't see more of that action, at least from those two players. But at that point, Phoenix started hedging a lot. And, that's
Yeah.
another thing I think we're going to see is how Seattle's ball handlers kind of react to pressure. I mean, considering they didn't really have a lot last year, respectfully. This year should be better on paper. You got Alexi Brown, you got Erica Weed, you got Alicia Clark. Like, it should be better. But yeah, I think like again, like Skylar said, credit to the Phoenix Mercury. They had a great game. They played a great game. Despite really just AT and Satu doing the heavy lifting. I mean, the defense, timely passes, the extra pass, the passing lanes. I mean, you really look up and down the stat sheet, and they just really outperform Seattle in every way.
I I feel bad because I should have said something or I should have thought about it, but like in some of the things, whether it was our like roster reaction, right? And I feel like we've talked about it in past episodes though, so give us a little bit of a pass. But even in the Fox podcast thing I did, I was like, everyone's gonna talk about Jewel Lloyd and how they'll miss Jewel Lloyd, right? But yeah, Jordan Horston, I mean, that, that's a major loss. And again, we talked about it. You wrote about it when it happened, right? We've talked about it, I'm sure, on several Storm roundtables, but God damn it. Yeah, you made me remember that we're gonna miss Jordan Horston basketball for a whole year. God, okay.
I don't know. Some
Yeah.
people think Nick Mueller's going to play halfway through the season,
God,
so we might. Uh,
this
yeah,
this
so
guy. Like he just
I
immediately just
mean,
like he knows what he needs. I'm sorry.
who knows what
Uh
happens?
God damn it. Um I guess so. My question here and my main question, kind of keep this into kind of a quick hitter kind of thing, right? Is how much of this game, Christian, do you consider to be, real troublesome, real like these are things that are reality for Seattle. They're not just one game. They're not just, hey, Phoenix came out here and whooped our ass one night, and it is the first game of the season, as opposed to, oh, this is a legitimate issue you're going to have to deal with going forward. Because I it is game one, but I think some things are reality. The 3-point shooting is reality. We had that presser after free agency, and there's the talk about, hey, we got who we got. We feel like they're gonna help the 3-point shooting. I've seen folks say that, just because the way that NECA shot the ball in preseason was gonna fix a bunch of, which I know is lunacy, but this is stuff that was really written that her 3-point shooting alone would help. I'm like, hey, that's not real. That's not gonna happen. Um, so like, yeah, I think the 3-point shooting, that's reality. But I does that question make sense? How much of this game, do you think is tangible evidence of issues for this team going forward? And how much of it is, hey, they got their ass whooped game one. This is game one. They got shit to figure out.
Yeah, I'm not really worried. Um, Again, I know this is an entirely different team, but if you go back and you look at last year and where they started, I mean, Minnesota kind of again handed it to them.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but I believe they lost three of their first four. Yeah, they lost three of their first four, and then they went on a
Yep.
6-game win streak.
Yep.
So honestly, I'm not too concerned. It is one game. Also, Phoenix is supposed to be this good. This is what you made the trades for. This is what you signed these contracts for. This is what you have one of the biggest caps in the league for. Also, Clea Kyrie did not play. So um, they're supposed to be that good, you know. Seattle is figuring its way out as a team, individually, personnel wise, pretty much across the board. Nothing is set in stone. I'm not taking too much from this game and going out and shaking my fist in the wind, upset about something like that. Like, don't get me wrong, Skyler and that could be the only two players to make more than two field goals. That is alarming. That is damning. But there won't be another game that we see this season where Gabby Williams as he combined for like two for 18. That's not who as he McEnroe is, you know. So that's not who Gabby Williams is. I mean, woman just won a silver Olympic medal, and now she's a champion overseas. So multiple times. I think about it, like multiple first teams, man. I'm not really worried about it, honestly. I knew it was going to be ugly. Didn't think it was going to be this ugly, but there were a lot of good things that I liked. The defense turning into offense, kind of things that we saw last year. Subsidizing the 3-point shooting for other ways of offense. That's going to be something that they have to kind of get back to. And of course, with so much change on the roster, that's take some time. But let's have this conversation maybe halfway through June. 10, 12 games in, a fourth of the season. Then we can really talk about what the season's going to be. But I will say though, um, a lot of people were upset for others, content creators, journalists, writers, who have you, that do power rankings. I had Seattle like around 6 or 7.
Mm,
I think that's accurate. I've never thought, okay, they can be as high as 5. They can be as low as 7. I mean, that's really where they were after the All-Star break last year for most of the season. After going 17-8, they went 8-9 last year. So yeah, I'm not really too concerned about it. We'll see what happens. But this roster has talent on it. It's To be honest, it's one of the better ones that they've had in a while, as far as like Mecca said, kind of built to what they want to do as far as offense identity. They just gotta execute. So we'll see in the next game.
yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like I don't I I know that it is the first game of the season. Trust me, I had 8 games that happened today. I know that all, but I know there are fans who are going to be like, you know, should I be worried? And I've already seen it on Twitter, right? I'm sure Christian's already seen it. So it's like, you got to ask these questions. You got to kind of put it into perspective. And yeah, to that point, it's not like Seattle, it's not like too many of these teams exist in the WNBA anyway, where it's like you can just come out and get, free belt to ass, free W. Like, yeah, as you mentioned, you start the season off against Mini last year. You played them twice, I think, in a span of twice back to back. That's right, because you went to Minnesota. You know, um, oh yeah, their first 4 games featured 3 games against the two teams that went to the finals. Yeah, that's right. So I'm not worried about it personally. I mean, I will keep track of the shooting percentage, right? Like you said, stuff like that. But and I will say too, because we got this,
Yeah.
I am not a hater of Zaya Cook. I need to get that out of the way. Folks
Wait,
were very upset in the
why?
roster break. Well, I think some of them only saw me and Rowan and they saw my paper pigmentation and they said, "Oh, you don't like Zaya Cook. We know why." I'm like, "Fuck are you talking about?" I was like, hey, we've said this on the round table. Like she's very quick. Like
Yeah.
again, there are a lot of things to like about Zaya Cook. Just in my mind, thinking about this team's deficiencies, her play doesn't necessarily help me feel better about the shooting, which again is funny because she made 2 3-pointers today.
She was a
But
3.
yeah, so funny how that works. But yeah, I just yeah,
The thing is, though,
it's cute.
man, like she's not even here to shoot threes. She's here
Mm-mm.
to take pressure off of Skylar and to put the ball in the rim and do it by driving to it, kick it out, find somebody open. And I think one of the things that bothered me the most about the 3-point shooting was
Mm.
just not even really trying to get good ones. You know, every
Oh
3-point
yeah.
shot was rushed. Didn't really seem like anyone was really like focused on timing. And again, that's Phoenix. That's Phoenix defense. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Ugly game. I'm just about to have to rewatch this shit. That's really about it, honestly. So they can just move on to Dallas.
All right. I was gonna say like
That should be
last
a
call
dub.
if there's something you wanna look at, but sounds like we're on to Dallas, huh?
Yeah, we're on the Dallas. I'm not worried about this game, man. It happens. Who said they
Yeah.
don't go on a 5-game win streak after this?
Yeah. No, I mean, like you said, it's there's just so much you can't take away. And it's not like Satu. Yes. Yeah, man. Anyway, all right, we'll wrap it up. So that's your first sort of Storm post game report. Want to do these after the games? Like, I'm looking forward to when we're back at Climate Pledge Arena. I will have to haul this very heavy microphone around with me in my backpack to bring it to the stadium. Hopefully, the conversion crew folks love to bump music post game, so I'm hoping the microphone cuts that out. We'll see. I'll find somewhere to do these, but no, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to doing this, and like I was saying to Christian before we started, hit the record button. It's nice to get back into covering this team and the W because there's a lot of fun, and all of this being said, Dominique Malonga didn't even do that much, right? I mean,
Yeah,
10 minutes,
2 points. Well, yeah, that was
get
it.
our
2
first
points.
points off the board, you know. So there's so much that will happen with this team. It's not
Yeah.
all gonna happen like that. So all right,
As far
friend.
as
Oh,
yeah, one more thing on the Dominique point. I saw a lot of tweets. Again, the overreactions have been grandiose this entire weekend, and it's only Saturday. We got another day of games tomorrow. I'm not worried about Dominique. I know she looked like a deer in the headlights on defense, but again, she's 19 years old. This is her first experience against WNBA post players, and also she's gonna have to get stronger, right? And that will come with time. That will come with extra practices, planning with the strength and conditioning team. It's a process. There's a reason why they took her at two. It's not because of what she is now. It's because of what she can be, what she will be. It's a
yep,
process. So we'll get
yep,
there.
absolutely. All right, my friend. Well, that'll do us. May 17th. Storm at Mercury 59-81 loss. We are 0-1. Make it the first video doing this. So until we see you next time, who knows what Dallas will look like? Yeah, that you know all too well what Dallas looks like. I was gonna say. I was
Listen, all it is would be heavy ISO and just
get the hell out of the
heavy
way,
ISO.
clear out.
Clear out.
All right. Till we see you next time, take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch the Seattle Storm away games this year?
Away games. Well, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports. So I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See you all here.